California is worth fighting for? And what can a regular person that is watching this right now can do to make California better? What can they do?
Yeah. So your voice matters. If you're watching this right now and you're thinking, what can I do? What can I say? Let's start with calling your elected officials in the state of California and urging them to vote yes or no on different bills.
You can do that.
You can do that. You can call them. It's actually the easiest thing to do. People think it's a super scary process. And every single person that I talk to about doing it, I say, okay, pick up your phone, say you want them to vote no on this bill, and here's your one sentence reason why. They're like, this is going to be scary. This is hard. After they do that, they're like, that took 30 seconds and was the easiest thing to do.
You just Google the representative name?
Yes. So if you go to, who I work for, California Family Council, if you go to californiafamily.org, we have our whole bill watch list. There's over 2,000 bills introduced in the state of California every year. We go through all the bills and we say which ones are affecting our biblical values. So we find the ones that are pushing trans ideology, that are pushing abortion, that are erasing women, that are trying to get rid of religious liberty, that are attacking our First Amendment. We find all these different pieces of legislation. We put them on our bill watch list and we tell you whether we support it or we oppose it, and then we'll give you the phone numbers to call. So you just literally type in your name and your address, and we'll tell you who your state senator is and your state assembly member is. We give you the phone numbers and we say, call them right now and tell them to vote yes or no. And we even give bullet points, talking points as to why they should vote yes or no on specific bills. So we try to make it super easy because we get everyone's so busy and doesn't have time to pay attention to all this legislation. So we break it down, explain what it means, tell you who to call, tell you which way to tell them to vote yes or no. More often than not, we're urging no votes in the state of California on pieces of legislation. We do have some good pieces of legislation this year. So there will be a couple times we need you to call and say yes votes.
And those calls matter.
They matter so much. Every single time you call, you're not going to, when you call the state assembly member, the state legislator is not going to pick up. It's going to be their staffers. The staffers have to mark down every single time someone calls.
Really?
Hey, yeah, they have to mark down this phone. Yeah, this bill. So if you call and you say, hey, I want you to vote yes on AB 329, which is actually a good pro-adoption bill that's in place right now. But if you call them and say that, the staffer has to mark down a call about a yes on AB 329. Now imagine if 200 people called, 300, 400, 500 people call one state legislator and they say, oh, I was going to vote no on this, but my constituents, the people in my district, want me to vote yes. They might change their vote. And if they don't change their vote, they might abstain from voting because at the end of the day, they work for us. Sometimes they forget they work for us. Why do they forget they work for us? Because we don't call them, because we don't tell them how we want them to vote. So if we as constituents, every Californian has a state assembly member and a state senator. Take time once a week, take 10 minutes and make phone calls about 3 or 4 different bills. This is how I want you to vote. This is what's going on with this bill. This is why I'm not okay with this. Now you've done your job.
Do you have any example how those calls affected the vote?
We have actually had some pieces of legislation where we've been able to get thousands of people to make phone calls ourselves with other organizations. We've partnered to push against it, which has led to bills being killed, which has led to bills being amended.
Like what? Give me one example.
We have had, so in the past year, we had a state assemblywoman. She actually took up a bill that was defending pregnancy centers. And the reason she did that is because we had people in her district calling to let her know about the great work that pregnancy centers do. So that influenced her to actually put in a positive piece of pro-life legislation about pregnancy centers.
What did she want to take it down in the first place?
So she wasn't working to take down pregnancy centers or work against pregnancy centers, but she wasn't doing anything to protect them or to teach about them. So this piece of legislation was going to teach children through sex ed about pregnancy centers as another resource besides Planned Parenthood. She didn't think she really needed to defend pregnancy centers because she didn't know they were under attack. And so when her district was letting her know about the attacks they face, the pregnancy center and the district faces, when they let her know about the good free work that pregnancy centers provide towards women and families, she was like, okay, I'll do this
she was
bill to
just
protect
uninformed.
pregnancy
Okay.
centers. Uninformed, exactly. We've seen other bills. We saw, I believe it was in 2018, a piece of legislation that was going to make it so that churches, that pastors couldn't help give counseling to people that were experiencing same-sex attraction that didn't want to experience it. So if this person said, hey, I'm dealing with this, I want to get some counseling from a Christian point of view on this. There was a piece of legislation basically that was going to say churches and pastors would legally not be allowed to counsel that, to be able to counsel the own people at their church that wanted help on this. And so we are able to help rally churches across the state of California. These legislators were receiving so many calls. The author of the bill, a gay man who is trying to push this piece of legislation, pulled the bill died.
Oh, wow.
Why? Because he was receiving thousands of phone calls. I mean, it's hit points where these state legislators, if they're getting enough phone calls, they try to unplug their phone because it's just nonstop. And so we've seen this happen where when people use their voices, it makes a difference. It doesn't necessarily always change the way that a state legislator is going to vote. It doesn't necessarily always get a bill signed into law. It doesn't necessarily always get a bill killed. But it does make a difference. And every single time you call them, it's a reminder that they work for you.
God bless.
Thank you.